Betty, and welcome to Why Are You an Entrepreneur? The Trials and Triumphs. I'm Maureen Edwards, the founder of 8 Simple Steps. And for those of you who tune in every single week, you kind of know the drill. But for those of you who don't, you know that this is where I bring you rock star entrepreneurs who are moving, shaking, making things happen. And we sit down for the next 30 minutes to have a rock star conversation so they can share some words of wisdom, some inspiration, some best practices, their journey. And for my small business owners out there, you will realize you are not alone in the entrepreneurial journey. So, what you're experiencing, I have to tell you, probably very similar to the people I have on here. So, tonight, no exception, I have Pam King. Pam, I want to welcome you. You are the founder and owner of Pamela C. King Consulting, and I am so thrilled to have you. I found you on LinkedIn, and I'm like, I got to have her on here. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Maureen, for having me. I am excited to be here with you and grateful for Stephanie Hopkins, who who was a guest on your show and created the connection and sparked the interest and allowed for us to have this opportunity.
Absolutely. And that's what it's all about is kind of having this network. One thing leads to another. Stephanie was an awesome guest and I'm so glad it led to us. So I want to dive right in. I usually ask the same question right off the bat. The very first one is why are you an entrepreneur taking over this journey that is so incredibly hard? Can you give us a little bit of an idea of how you got here?
Absolutely. And so for me, it is really about living into my vision of success and being able to do that with freedom and flexibility to be able to serve who I'm called to serve and to be able to care for my family and to be able to live out loud the things that I believe in alignment with my faith and giving me the ability to just do what I love and to be able to serve those that I'm called to serve.
So, how did you get into owning your own business? What was the process? I mean, that's the reason why, but it isn't always that easy. How did you get here?
It's not easy. As a matter of fact, I served over 20 years in the Air Force
Thank you.
as a strategic planner. Thank you. And so I'm used to kind of taking ideas and making them into actionable, tangible, reality. And so after serving 20 years, I moved forward and worked for a nonprofit where it was like a startup in our community. And I helped to grow that local chapter of helping people become better leaders, which was right in my wheelhouse of something I'm extremely passionate about. And then a little bit, about 6 years into that journey as an executive leader in the organization, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. And that was in
Oh,
2019. And through the grace of God, I got through that very difficult journey and rung the bell during COVID,
yeah.
which gave me a lot of time to reflect and really think about what it is that I really felt called and passionate to do with this new gift of life that I had been given. And so I started this journey in October of 2020 as the original founder and owner of Classless Conversations, which was just how I show up. It's not about the formality, it's about really connecting with people and having these unboxed, unscripted conversations. But that was a long word and a lot to read. And so I did a little bit of a rebrand and reboot under Horizon Leadership. And after some very challenging experiences with accounting, um, I had to do this summer a reboot and
Hmm.
step to what is now Pamela C. King Consulting, a very simplified way of serving my audacious clients with audacious visions and bold goals, and allowing me really to lean into the most simplest way of which I serve them well, and shedding all the weight of the things that I thought I needed to be successful and really aligning my vision of success with the way I want to serve my clients.
So, what led you to the reboot? I'm just curious as to how that came about because there are a lot of entrepreneurs that start one way and their business evolves, or especially during COVID, a lot of people had to pivot. So, what made you, instead of saying, all right, I'm over with this business, I'm going back to get a real job, what made you decide to reboot?
Well, I was at a crossroads actually. And so I was 3 years into the success and growing my business, but I was having some very difficult time trying to find the right advisors that I needed, especially when you're talking about taxes and accounting, and managing state and federal taxes and the decision to go S Corp versus LLC. And I just did not have the right support. And I was spending all of my time, effort, energy, money, and the stress and the anxiety of trying to manage these while trying to find an accountant that was competent and able to support my vision. And so
Hmm.
I was losing more money than I was making. And I have a family to help take care of. My husband is here, and we have two growing boys, one in high school and another as a sophomore in college. And this summer, I was looking at, the instability of, salary and profit, and I really had to decide, am I going to start over or am I going to start fresh somewhere else? And at the end of the day, I just had to trust that this gift that I have, the passion that I have for serving women and helping them achieve their bold goals, that fire burns so bright within me that I trusted God. I leaned into my community. I shared vulnerably what my struggle was, and my community showed up. My clients stayed with me. They even created referrals. All I had to do was ask for what I
Yeah.
needed, and be willing and courageous to do something different, to take what felt like failure and use it to refocus me. And in the process, I shed systems and processes and things that I thought I needed,
Yeah.
that were really overwhelming and slowing me down. And so for me, it was really leaning into what feels right, what works, what doesn't, and not being afraid to let go of what is comfortable as an entrepreneur and lean into what works best right now. Where am I at right now, and what do I need right now to be successful?
So, if there's an entrepreneur out there who feels like they're kind of stuck here, what do you think the process is? What would be the first three steps you would give them to get out of that situation? I guess first, fire anybody who isn't working, right, for you.
That is it. Sometimes it's good to invest in the things and invest in the experts, that, know how to manage certain things like legal, tax laws and things like that. But sometimes we pay for the things we're scared of failing at.
Hmm.
And so I would really encourage an entrepreneur that's struggling right now in their business to really ask, what is it that's holding them back? And if it's a person, do they have the right skills? If you find yourself checking behind them and still doing their job while paying them, that's probably not a good fit. But really asking those hard questions to say, what am I holding on to and why am I holding on to it? And what would happen if I let it go? And
So,
then answering that honestly.
I every year I assess my business. I actually do it quarterly, and I a lot of times it's technology. I will get rid of a lot of things sometimes you think you need. But this is exactly what you're talking about, is taking an assessment and not letting it go and go and go until maybe it's too late to even recoup anything out there. Um, and kudos to you for having the strength to pivot, because I think a lot of people would be like, this isn't working. This is not working. All right. So you now have Pamela C. King Consulting.
Yeah.
Can you share with people out there how you reach your ideal audience? Because that is one of the things that I find a lot of entrepreneurs, they have trouble reaching. They have even more trouble converting. That's like the big one. But you got to reach people before you can get to the conversion. So is there something you're using out there that could help others on how you're reaching people?
Honestly, I try different things. And so for one, I'm always learning. And so there's the balance between having marketing support through an agency, or a technical solution, And then there's also knowing and doing a little bit of work and growing on our own. Like there are things we have to learn about our business. We still have to understand the difference between branding and marketing. And so for me, I always have those conversations, and I also listen and lean into and learn from those that do it well. Just
Yep.
this afternoon through the Small Business Development Center, I attended a training on LinkedIn, which I'm familiar with LinkedIn, but again, it's not what I do all day. And
Hmm.
so taking a quick mini course on LinkedIn and learning from, 100 Monkeys or Techno Solutions and just really saying, okay, here's where I am. I'm small business. What do I need right now to reach my target audience? And so I actually have a call scheduled in a couple weeks to speak with a marketing and branding person to see if that works well for me to help me grow. What are the things I don't want to spend all day doing,
Right.
but what are the things only I can do for my business and really balancing that. So for me, it's a balance of both tools, technology, and definitely the right people.
This is so incredibly important. I think that people try and do it all, even stuff that's not in their wheelhouse, and they're spinning their wheels. And knowledge is all good. You can go from Googling and YouTubing and taking a million courses, but unless you implement it, you just wasted your time. So if you don't know how to implement it, find somebody who can help you. I just did an entire speaking event today on the difference between branding and marketing. And I said to people, if this is not in your wheelhouse, right? Find somebody who can help you because you'll move along a lot faster. And so I really appreciate that you're saying, everybody who shows up week after week, Pam, they say the same thing. And yet I still find people do not listen to our real world experts here because you're
Yeah.
living it and you're sharing, really what's going out on there. So is LinkedIn your number one social media platform that you find that's working for you?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and again, there's so many different social media markets out there. You really have to know where your clients are. And I've received recommendations to do it on different platforms. But for me, I find the most engagement, the most referrals, the most success, and my ideal clients here on LinkedIn. They're professionals looking to grow. And really, for me, it's about bridging the gap between being personal and professional. And LinkedIn, for me, allows me to find the clients that are looking to create that balance and that alignment. And so this is the platform for me. And I still have my social media hooks and social media on Facebook and all of those things. But I love tools and technology like Hootsuite that can let you post in one area and it goes all through the others.
Yes. Yes. Great advice here. Automate. Take the time that it would take to do all this individually, get it automated so you can spend your time doing other things. So totally agree with you. And I know MetaSuite out there will help you do like Facebook and Instagram together, but Hootsuite gets one big sweep out there. So great advice. Great advice. So what do you how do you feel about like the networking aspect? So after COVID, we're all on Zoom. We're still all really on Zoom, and that helps us reach a really wide audience. But do you also find yourself back to networking and in-person events, and how is that working?
Absolutely. There's something about being in the same presence and space with other people where you
Mhm.
get to kind of mingle versus hop on and off a Zoom call. And so it is a delicate balance of really knowing, where to be present because you can get invited to so many different things and you get that fear of missing out that kind of creeps in. And then it's also about managing your energy. As a breast cancer survivor, I don't have the energy I used to have, and so I really have to be intentional with my presence. And so for me, knowing being around women and women empowerment, how that gives me fuel and energy, I make time each month and I schedule that and I'm picky and I'm choosy about where I show up, but I make time for those and I also make time to follow up. And so this month I'm a little busier than others because it's breast cancer awareness, but recognizing that networking is just not about the event, but carving out time to create those connections and those follow ups. And I even love Zoom because it saves me gas and time from having to drive all over.
Right.
But then creating really it's about creating the one to one personal connections if you can and really meeting people where they are, get to know their story, so that it's relational, not just transactional.
And I love the fact that you said follow up. And you know why? Because I think, in my experience, is one of the shortfalls that we have. We figure we've made such an impact at our events, like they're always going to remember us. But people, they're busy, they're talking to multiple people. They don't always remember you as much as you think. So the fact that you are following up and you recommend that, I think that's just huge. And I don't know about you, but I think some people feel like they're going to get rejected if you circle back with them. Like, I think it's going to be how you phrase it, right? Like,
Mhm.
not salesy. You're there as a resource. You're there to help. There's no sales going on in
And that's
this.
why I emphasize relational over transactional. People don't
Yeah.
want to feel transactional. They don't want to feel always that exchange of I do this and you do that. We never know when the person we meet is going to circle back and be the very blessing that we need. And I say that, Maureen, when I was in this pivot decision space and not knowing what was going to be next for my business, I cried my eyes out that morning, put my makeup on, got dressed, went to a networking event, and on the other side of that was an opportunity I never imagined, and it was the exact thing that I needed, to really boost and get going again. And it was the ideal situation and opportunity for me to be a life coach for entrepreneurs at a historically Black university, Harrisville State. So you never know, and you just have to show up and take risks.
So, give me a little bit of your greatest success so far. Like, if you could just pick one thing that you have done that sticks in your mind, what would you say has been the high point?
The high point is, wow, greatest
Oh, I
success.
stumped you. You thought this was going to be easy, right?
Yeah, the greatest success, honestly, is I'm here.
Hmm.
And why is that meaningful? I serve amazing, amazing people. I serve people like within Starclough Disability Institute, we're helping people develop the skills and the strengths to be in the workforce, and then helping employers find their value and see their value contributions, and helping them break down the barriers and the stigmas that come with hiring people from disabilities. I service clients like Stephanie, who's all the way in Florida. I've never met her face to face, but for 3 years, helping her reboot, relaunch, and live into her best life of success, and other clients. And so for me, it's really about more than me. It's really about helping people find that alignment between their life and their business. And when they do, being able to celebrate with them. And so for me right now, I'm focusing on this one thing. What is that one thing that we're avoiding? What is the one thing that we hesitate? What's the one thing we're afraid of succeeding at? And helping clients overcome that guilt, shame, and fear that's holding them back from being their best self. So the fact that I'm here and I live these values, I do this work, for me, that's success. I did not give up, and I cannot fail.
That's awesome. Absolutely awesome. So, tell me what's next for your company. Like, where's your vision for 2024? Where do you want to take this?
Where do I want to take this? I want to
Yeah.
give this, I want to show up for more women. I want to be able to serve more women in business and women in leadership, helping them align their vision of success, with their values, and helping them feel seen, valued, and heard, and closing the gap between the things that hold us back and the responsibilities that we think we can't manage and still be successful, or we have to choose between family and being a great mom and being a great leader, and close that gap. And so for success for me means creating a network and helping a network of women come together, grow and expand and show up as their best self, where they feel seen, valued, and heard for what they bring to the table. It doesn't matter if it's the boardroom, it doesn't matter if it is the kitchen table, but helping them live their best life and be who they were called and created to be.
So, tell everybody
So
who your ideal client is. Who do you feel like you really serve and can bring value to? Who's out there that you want to say, I'm the person for you?
I am the life coach for women in business. I am also the business coach for women in leadership who have audacious and bold goals, but they're scared, they're fearful of either success or failure. They struggle with the guilt of not being home enough or not doing enough. Maybe there's shame that they come from, maybe there's something that they didn't succeed at before, or maybe there's a fear that it won't work or that they won't have support. I'm their person, I'm their champion. I believe in their dreams and their goals, and I help them embrace their voice, how they were created, and their authentic style of leadership so that they can show up wherever they are in life and in business and own it, achieve it, and succeed in it. That's my ideal client, my sisterhood. I give everything for my sisterhood.
That is so awesome. All right, so I'm gonna throw a curveball here. Shouldn't be hard for you. People are doing what you're doing, Pam,
Yeah.
right? There are a lot of life coaches out there. What makes you different? And for business owners out here, I want you to really listen to this because everybody's got to differentiate themselves. Okay, we all have tons of competitors out there. What makes Pam different than others?
I will tell you this is my gift, this is my calling. I love what I do. I love who I serve, and I do the work. I don't preach at you, I don't talk at you. I'm in it with you. I'm a partner with you, and I do this in life and in business. I don't separate the two. I live my values out loud. I'm vulnerable, I'm transparent. I'm not perfect, but I serve with excellence. I bring the full weight of my military experience, my nonprofit leadership, my experience of training and development and professional growth. I wrap all that up in a box and I let you open it and turn that into the gift that you need to succeed. So, what makes me different? There are a lot of us out here. I'm your champion if you have bold goals, you are relentless, you are passionate, but you're stuck.
You know, you could.
I'm here to help
All
you.
right, so I'm going to give you this tape, and I want you to go back and clip what you just said because that right there is like your opening statement right on your website. People should hear that recording because that was brilliant. And I love what you said. I'm not perfect, but I serve with excellence. That right there is your quote. Like I usually ask people, what is your favorite quote? Well, you just created one. Okay. So people, you have to show up. You don't necessarily have to be perfect, but serve with excellence. Can I steal it? Can I steal it from
Absolutely,
you?
that's what makes me different is I'm not gonna charge you for every quote that I give.
Okay, okay. But that what you just said was super powerful. And I'm you know what I'm most thrilled with, Pam, is that you know who you are. You know your brand, you know who you serve, why you serve them, and the value that you bring to the table. And in my experience with all of the business owners I work with, this is one of the areas, in fact, it's the number one area they struggle with to have a conversation and be able to really let people know how you're going to change their life. You did it beautifully.
Thank you so much, Maureen.
You
Um,
are so welcome.
and if I can just give another piece of advice to those that are
Yeah.
listening, entrepreneurship is hard. It takes a toll. There are days we don't wanna do it. There are days that we love it and we're thrilled, but it's a balance and it's a struggle and it's not 50-50. There's some days you give 80, some days you do 120, and some days you only got 25% in the tank. And so, with that being said, sometimes you struggle and you struggle silently. Don't do it alone. Find community, find support. If you find yourself struggling and down on yourself, consider therapy. As
Hmm.
a combat veteran who served in Iraq, as a breast cancer survivor, there are days that this was harder than others, and I struggled with real challenges with my mental health. So I had to do that work too. All of it is who I am, and it's the truth about my journey as an entrepreneur. And so there are days where it was really hard, and I had to go get a reboot and talk to someone to help me through these difficult days. And so I'm not here because I'm perfect and I'm filled with joy every single moment. I'm here because this is my life's passion, my life's work. It's worth it and everything matters.
Community. is really what you're saying. And that is so important. I mean, this can be very isolating. I remember when I started my first company, I was in sweatpants in my basement and there wasn't a soul around. I'm like, and we didn't have communities like we do. Like we have a million Facebook groups and we know how to reach out. And I know how lonely this can be. And I agree. We've got to have, and it's one of the reasons why I try and bring all of us together here is to build those connections and know that we're not alone in this. This is hard. Absolutely. So one last question. If you were to give words of wisdom to somebody who is just trying to take on entrepreneurship, they are thinking about it, haven't kind of taken the dive, right? Taken the leap, what would you say to them?
Believe. Believe that you can do it, and then believe that you don't have to do it alone.
That's
And know
great.
that it's possible, but it's work, but it's worth it.
I love it. And I love that you've been able to share that you've had some challenges and you've worked through it. And I want to ask you, do you have a good tax accountant now? Do
Yes,
you have
I
somebody?
do. Yes,
What what advice would you give people out there when they're hiring the people who need to support them? Like, what should they ask?
experience, look at, longevity. For one, I found that, doing it online in COVID, there was a lot of things that we didn't get to do in person, but having that person, having that localized support where you can go have a face-to-face conversation, sit across from each other and go through the paperwork, look at their credentials, look at who their clients are, and
Mm.
more than just what their website says they do, ask them how they do it. And if they can't explain that to you, if they can't give you that in a written form, have that documented, um, you may want to look and keep looking. And then also recognize that there are things that you know how to do, and there are systems like QuickBooks that can assist you. So don't spend out of fear, spend out of wisdom and investment.
What amazing advice. Do not spend out of fear. Oh my gosh. Pam, I could like talk with you like for the next 5 hours. We only have a few minutes left, but you have just dropped so many rock star words of wisdom. This is why I have people like you on here because what you gave, like I'm going to be clipping all this stuff. Okay, I am. So tell everybody out there how they can get a hold of you so that they can work with you.
Absolutely. So if you want to get a hold of me, go to my website because there you'll be able to see all the different areas that I specialize in. I can't serve everybody and I'm not trying to. And so if you go to you go to uh look, I almost couldn't even remember, but if you go to
Okay.
pckingconsulting.com, pckingconsulting.com, you can go to my service page, see the services I offer, see if it's a good fit for you, and then click on contact. There's a contact form there where you can select what you're interested in. It will come right to me and I will respond directly to you. And so I'd say that is the best way because it gives people an opportunity to see what it is I do and what I specialize in and if they're a good fit. And then from there, we have a conversation about your vision of success and how I can best serve and support you in achieving your full vision.
That's awesome. And they can find you on LinkedIn too, right? They can
Absolutely. Look
connect
for
with
me,
you.
Pamela C. That's why it's Pamela C. King. If you go to Pamela King, you're not going to get me. So go to Pamela C. King on LinkedIn, or if you're on LinkedIn, Pamela C. King for Success, and you'll get me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Well, I hope that you're going to be coming back in 2024 to give us an update on how this is going because I would absolutely love to have you back. So I hope you're going to make that commitment now, right? I'm locking you in.
I'm making the commitment now. I will be here. You send me the invitation, and I will be sharing all the amazing things that have happened between today and that time next year. So
Love it. Thank you so much, Pam, for tuning in tonight. And for all of you who have joined us, thank you so much for being here. I hope you picked up a few words of wisdom, because what Pam has dropped tonight, she's a rock star. And for anybody who's an entrepreneur out there, you're a rock star too. And I would love to hear your story. And I have an audience who needs to hear it. They want to hear what your journey is and how you can help them. So please reach out to me. Certainly, I'm live. You can do it Facebook Live, YouTube Live, LinkedIn. All of those profiles of 8 Simple Steps. You can go ahead and let me know that you're interested. And if you're having trouble right now converting customers despite all the marketing you're doing, and you even have a strong online presence and it's still not happening, please reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. Let's identify the gaps and opportunities, and let's get on a roadmap for converting simply. So I hope to see all of you next week. And thank you again, Pam. Take care, everybody.
Take care.